Welcome to part 34, Grid Area CSS. Now that we've created our grid, we're going to place our components onto that grid. So our grid areas are created here. We have 4 unique names for 6 possible areas. So we're going to map our 4 components to one of these 4 names. All right, so the table tabs are going to be mapped to the tables area, and to do this, use that grid area property. So they're going to take up the center column, both rows of this grid, like that. One thing to note here is that the data table and bootstrap CSS, so the dash data table and the bootstrap that we import both use the same class row to add styling. And this is problematic because since the bootstrap is imported later, it will have precedence. And so what happens if we don't change the CSS is that the bootstrap row will have some negative margin over here and can cut off some part of the first column. So to ensure that this does not happen, what we're going to do is we're going to provide this selector. This is a multiple part selector. So to target the row class inside the data table itself. So this is how you select a class inside of a class. So the outer class is this dash data table container, and then within there there's a row class, and that's the unfortunate name collision with bootstrap and dash data table. So so we're going to set that margin back to 0, which was its original value. I have a link over here so you can see more about this issue. Okay, moving on. So the graph tabs, those 3 tabs in the upper right hand corner that are holding our 3 graphs, will get mapped to the graphs portion of the grid. That's this one over here. Now there's another issue, unfortunately, and this one is with Dash itself. The graphs in the upper right hand corner don't automatically expand whenever the browser resizes. So in order to force it to resize, we're going to set its height to some specific value. This is the normal height of that section, 45 viewport height for the rows. So we set that in the grid template rows. If we go back up here, you can see that. So that first row is that. These 40 pixels that we subtract off is just the height of the tabs. And just to show you this top graph, so this is the class we gave each of those dcc.graph objects in the upper right hand corner. So that's how we can reference all 3 of them, is by, they all have the same class name. So that's how we reference that. Okay, so that takes care of that little bug. In the bottom right hand corner are the maps and the radio buttons. So we're going to assign them to the maps. And if we go back over here, that was the name in the bottom right hand corner. The last one is these cards on the left, the small left column. And if we scroll down a little bit more, it's a little bit further down here, we have our cards. So they're given the ID. This is that div, all side cards, and it's assigned to that particular grid area. Okay, so that completes the assignment of our components to particular areas of our grid.